something. Hello.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me and see me?
Hi, I'm hearing you, but I'm not seeing you.
Okay, let me see if this will work here. How is that?
Hi,
Better?
hi, hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you hear me?
All right.
Stronger. Imagine a world without choices. Stronger. Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. You, I see. Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you.
In 1971. All of my life.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Uniters. Boy, it's been a while. Haven't seen my face in a while. Haven't seen Mr. Patterson's face in a while. We are live. We are here. Live and living color. Welcome, guys. JMH, big up yourself. As usual, you're always one of the first. Lion in the jungle again. So it's you guys out in the front. Yes, so JMH, Lion Rule the Jungle, big up on yourselves. You're always here on time.
Okay, so what
Early?
made you want
Well, on time. Well, it is kind of early. I said 8:15, but we're starting early now because so Mr. Patterson is actually on an interview right now. Just started an interview on TikTok with a lady named This Is Abs. She's on TikTok, so if, I'll probably put her thing in the chat. So if you're on TikTok, go and follow her. She has some really good content. She every night she goes to the news.
Okay.
And of course, you know, she gives her own viewpoint of the news. So I don't want to get too, you know, I don't want to get too.
What is so different about UIC?
I don't want you guys to miss out the interview. So I'm just gonna share the live right now because it just started and she's basically asking him about the UIC. So guys, stay tuned. Let's see if this can work. Bring it up. Big up yourself, lady.
UIC is not taking funding from the PSOJ oligarchy.
Are you guys hearing?
We're going to be controlled by them. So now we're going to be able to pass laws and regulations that are for the benefit of the Jamaican people, as opposed to being for the benefit of the rich and powerful that currently runs the country.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at your manifesto, and one of the most pressing issues now that we have is crime. And we had asked Carly,
guys, let me know if you're hearing clearly
about this. How would the
okay,
UIC
great.
crime? How would you approach it
So
differently
tune in.
from what the PNP has done and what the JLP is currently doing?
Yes. Now, the first thing for you to understand is that the crime problem in Jamaica is a byproduct of those two political parties. Those two parties are really, if you look at it closely, if you were to be honest and to have a detailed analysis of Jamaica's history, those two parties are the creation of the crime problem. So first of all, you can't ask those who create the problem to solve it because they're complicit. They are implicated by the very problem. The UIC approach to solving crime is a top-down approach. You have to cut off the head of the snake if you want to get rid of the problem. You can't keep going at the bottom and attacking the little boys and girls who are victims of the criminal enterprise. You have to cut off the top. And if you study Jamaica's criminal situation, you'll see that for the most part, it's the big men and women in ties and jackets in offices who are orchestrating the importation, the mass importation of guns and ammunition. They're the ones who have facilitated the drug trade. They're the ones who created the garrison communities. They're the ones who created the gangs and gave them government contracts. They're the ones who have kept the people uneducated and undereducated. They're the ones who have mashed up our economy and made it inequitable by putting most of the wealth in the hands of a few. If we're going to fix the problem of crime in Jamaica, we have to realize where it came from, and then we have to fix it from the top down because it's the top men and women who are keeping the crime situation. They even benefit from it by building companies that they then run to gain and benefit from crime. So we have to go after them. And once we break them down, then we are now freeing the people at the bottom to be able to be re-socialized and to be helped to becoming productive citizens in this country.
Wow, Mr. President, you're that brave to go after those people.
Well, we have to, if we want to have a safe Jamaica, then this is the kind of stuff we have to do. If we want to play around and pretend as if we can have one, then all we're going to have is the brightest people like yourself. When you get fed up, we're just going to fly out and left we here. So if we want to get Jamaica back, we have to fix it, make the hard decisions so that you can stay here and all the other bright young people that we have don't run away and leave the worst of us here in this country.
Yeah, and to do that, to attack the snake from the head, you'd have to have hard evidence to say this is this. How will you do that?
Absolutely. First of all, once you elect the UIC, the government, we'll have the authority to have a full forensic investigation. For example, the Prime Minister, the sitting Prime Minister now, will have to explain how he has spent all his life in politics and amassed all the wealth that he did. Many of those who are now in senior position in the police, in private sector, and in government will have to explain where the wealth came from. Why is it the ordinary, typical Jamaican working hard, going to school, passing exams, and getting degrees, they can never amass the amount of wealth that those who are involved in politics or connected to those in politics have been able to amass? I assure you, a proper forensic audit using external forces, not local Jamaican, bringing external auditors in here and going lane by lane, street by street in terms of following the money. And you're going to find that the very people who are talking nice to you about how they're going to solve crime are the very people who are behind the crime problem in this country.
All right, so the manifesto is, yeah, it's detailed, though it's straight to the point and all of that. But as somebody in the comments is,
I would hope that we all understand that Jamaica is a very rich country. It's just poorly run. So right now, for example, we have a budget of over $900 billion. That's a lot of money. It's just that we, the Jamaican people, do not benefit from that money being spent on good roads, like properly designing, properly building, and properly maintaining those roads. We don't benefit from police officers who are highly trained and highly skilled, who are the best among us to be able to work with us. We don't benefit from our hospitals being well managed and well cared for to serve us. We don't benefit from teachers getting the salary and training and compensation support that they need. Instead, what we have is a large portion of that money going into scamming, legalized scamming. We call it corruption. I give it a nice name. It's thief and thieving the people and money. And what they do, they create all manner of games, whether it's to give friend and company positions that they're not doing anything productive but getting our money, or they build outside companies and put their friends to the front end and find all manner of ways like Royal Reed to suck the money out of our economy, make themselves rich while dumbing down and underpaying the regular Jamaican people who are working hard.
all right, so as it regards to health, because that's a pressing issue at the moment. How would you improve our healthcare sector? I mean, nurses are leaving, they're overworked, they're underpaid, they lack resources. So how will the UIC fix that?
Sure, like all the areas of Jamaica requires one key thing. First of all, good governance. If you have good governance, then it means the money you're collecting from taxes will channel into the appropriate areas of the economy. So let's take healthcare, for example. We're losing $700 million a year to corruption. Just add that up, just multiply that by your age, and see how much we've lost to politicians who are using bad governance. Our healthcare system, first of all, has a major problem. The best way to build a healthcare system is from your education system. Make sure you're educating our children how to take care of their minds, their bodies, and build quality personalities so they can make good decisions about health, about their finances, and so on. That's number one. If you want a solid healthcare system, start from the school, which also prepares the parents. Then secondarily now, make sure you build a system that's built on you understanding how to do preventive medicine. Let's take care of yourself so you don't necessarily have to go to the hospital. And if you do have to go there, then let's make sure you build a hospital system that is designed to deliver quality by tying performance to the quality delivered to the people you serve. Right now, the way we have our hospital system, those who work in it don't have to care very much about the customer. That's why you have a lot of bad experiences in the hospital, because their compensation are not tied to the outcomes of their patients and the quality of care that they give to their patients. So you have to build a different model. The UIC has that model. It's a very different model that's going to cause the providers of care, the receivers of care, to have their interests aligned. And you align that by having true public hospitals, not the fake ones we have now, where you understaff them, you under-resource them, and then you tell us you have a healthcare system. No, let's build a real system which is focused on care of the patient, and let's make sure we educate our patients so that they know what to expect, and so they also have better control of their own bodies, over their own information, and that they can now lead the process. And we have seen it done in other countries. It's not rocket science. We just need to do it here today.
And what will be done about the minimum wage and the lack of opportunity for youth? I mean, you have young people spending millions to get an education, making sacrifices, taking student loans to get a degree, and they leave school and they can't get a job.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. When I was, if you go back, I saw somebody mention it on your live earlier about Finstack, I think. I don't know if it's this live or not when I was watching. If you go back a few years to the 1990s, when the PNP was in power under PJ Patterson and Lamar Davis, they did something called a high interest rate regime, where they destroyed more than 40,000 Jamaican businesses. This is the kind of stuff. This current government, over the last 3 years, had policies where they destroyed small businesses and protected big businesses. If we're going to build Jamaica, we have to have a bottom-up economic model. A model where you invest in the small man, the micro enterprises, the small businesses, the medium enterprises, the entrepreneur, by giving them the kind of access to credit that they need, simplifying the banking system so they are able to open and use a bank account effectively, move us quickly into a digital economy that protects our individual rights and allow government to trample on our first and freedoms, and ensure that our schools are modernized to produce people who are thinking in the 21st century. Right now, our school system is about 20 years behind the rest of the world. If we're going to produce quality outputs, we have to improve our school system. We have to improve our basic economic model of capital access and entrepreneurship training and understanding how money works. That's why the UIC model of education is based on enrichment advanced program. And what that does, it makes sure every child learns 3 things. They must understand themselves, mind, body, and personality. They must understand human behavior to relate to others and build good relationships and partnerships, family, friends, business. And number 3, which is most important, they must learn and understand money, how economics work, the science of economics, the history of money, and of course, be able to deal with different kinds of monetary systems. Like right now, the system we have is a very fraudulent one, which is robbing you of your wealth. Every minute you go to bed, you earn $1, you're losing it through inflation. Not natural inflation, but artificial inflation, which this government has colluded with the global banking system to rob the Jamaican people of their monies.
Somebody in the comments say you need to start campaigning because the time's short for the next election. Somebody earlier had said you just get 5 votes for your response to the crime question. I'm pulling the questions for the comments. Somebody's asking, based on whose standards will the children be taught?
Very good question. The UIC model of education is world class. We're going to have a model where instead of having a monolithic education system, where if we're teaching foolishness, everybody learn the foolishness. We're instead going to have a system based on variety and choice. So now you're going to have in the new Jamaica that we're creating, for example, schools that focus on sports, schools that focus on, say, technology, schools that focus on business. So you don't have this one size fits all. You're going to have a multiplicity of schools. The money will will follow the child, so parents will have greater flexibility in choosing where they send their children to, as opposed to we, the government, just forcing them through one funnel, and that's the end of the story. So we're going to have a very modern system that's built around the child's ability and desires, and the parents' desire and how they want to, groom their children. For example, in the new Jamaica that we're going to create, if you're a Rastafari, you don't have to send your child to a Christian school, or vice versa. For example, right now we have an exclusive school system where it's one size fits all, and we push one set of dogma on our children and push them through that. We don't want it in the UIC. We want you to be able to choose what your child learns. We don't want you to be forced through a system which says they want to, let's say, force gay rights on your child, or force transgender issues on your child, or force anything. We want your child to have the basics, and our basics begin with mind, body, and personality. How to build a solid character. And number two, how to build solid relationships with your family, with friends, with business partners, and
Guys, the app keeps crashing. I don't know why. I have an idea though. Everybody hearing me and seeing me now? Just comment and tell me if you're seeing me and hearing me. We might have to move to another app. Is everybody here? Everybody seeing me and hearing me? All right. You guys on Instagram, would you join my Instagram? Can we go over to Instagram? We could go over to Instagram because something is wrong with TikTok. It keeps glitching. All right, so everybody who is here, you can go follow me on Instagram. It's the same user handle. This is Abs. So I'm going to go live on Instagram and wait for you guys over there. And Mr. President, if you are here, please join me on Instagram. It's the same username. This is Abs. We can continue the conversation there because TikTok, something is wrong with the app. It keeps crashing. Mr. President, okay, so go over to Instagram. This is Abs. Conversation there. So everybody who is here,
so
please go over to Instagram and let's continue the conversation.
All right, so they're going to continue the conversation on Instagram. Are you guys hearing me?
Let's continue the conversation over Instagram because TikTok keeps glitching.
Okay, cool. All right, so oops, my light. Let there be light. All right, so they are going to go over to Instagram. Apparently TikTok is glitching. So while that is happening, I'll try and answer some questions that have been in the comment section. Let's see. So, can you answer the question? Why do you think Jamaica doesn't have the money? All right. So, Guy Fox. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. He said earlier that he asked, where will we get the money from, right? Or something to that effect. I'm guessing it's in relation to what Mr. Patterson was saying on the live. And so, right, so he said this will be funded how? So I want us to really understand that Jamaica is not a poor country, you know. Jamaica is not a poor country. The government of the day would like you to think so, but it's not a poor country. What Jamaica is a poorly run country, right? So what you're seeing in your day-to-day activities. Hold on, I'm trying to get the Instagram page up so that when they start, I can join. Right. So what you're seeing in our day-to-day activities, right? What you're seeing as it relates to bad roads, as it relates to poor education, poor health care, as it relates to bad governance. Well, bad governance is a whole different story. As it relates to all these things, it's just a build-up of bad governance, a build-up of corruption, right? In the 60s, the government of the day got millions of dollars to build schools, and instead of building the amount of schools that they should have built, they only built half. And not only that, the money was overrun. They had to go back to the people that gave them the money or lent them the money, right, to ask for more money. With only half the schools that were supposed to be built. So how is it that you had such a cost overrun? Right? So now we, the people of Jamaica, have to be paying back this loan through taxes, right? Because the government go and take out this loan, right? We now have to be paying it back. And that has now set us back now because the people who should have been educated, properly educated, to be able to provide a certain amount of economy or a certain amount of money in the economy isn't there because only half the schools were built. And only half the amount of teachers are there to teach the students that should have been taught. And so now we've set back our country. And now what you're seeing is repercussions of that. What you're seeing in the education system is a repercussion of that. Jamaica does not have a money problem. What we have is a governance problem. We are poorly run. We have people that do not care about the people of Jamaica. They only care about themselves and them friend and company. And so they build systems, make laws that benefit them and people they know. And the rest of us have to survive, right? So to answer your question, Guy, we have money. There is money in the country. But to seriously answer your question, though, the UIC is, we are going to put Jamaica on a path where our economy is going to be flourishing. We're going to help to create more jobs. We're going to change our education system so that we'll have bright students not wanting to leave the country, but to stay in the country and build the country, right? As I said, we're going to be creating jobs, right? And so that now will help to pool or provide funds for the government to do what it needs to do. But as it is right now, we have way more money than we really need. But what's happening is that all that money is being siphoned off to certain people. Sorry, I'm not seeing the comments because I'm on another page trying to get the Instagram thing up. So give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Let me see if there are any other. Reading the manifesto and wondering if it's space them drop from. No, Guy, not space at all. Not space at all. We are here. You see, a lot of times we think that no better can happen in the country. And the truth is, there's a lot that can happen. But because we're so used to nothing happening, you know, when good ideas come, you kind of feels like it's impossible to do. Right? It's like, how are you going to do that? That's not possible. It is possible. You know, smaller countries like, sorry, forgive me, guys. Smaller countries like Singapore have done way better than us, and they have way less assets than we have. They don't have bauxite. Well, I mean, they don't have the land that we have, you know, so agriculture is not a thing for them. They don't have, you know, all the things that we have, but they were able, with the little that they had, they were able to make, turn themselves around to a first world country in 25 years, and we're still stuck in third world. We're still stuck in third world. What? Oh, okay, sorry. So, yeah, it's just, listen, we have leaders, we've had leaders that clearly don't give a rat's ass about the country. They only care about themselves and the people that they're connected to, not about the rest of us. All right, so I've signed in to Instagram. I'm gonna see if she's on. No, this is Abs. All right, great, she's live. All right.
The sales tax, though.
All right, so they're up. Forgive me, guys. I'm going to share the screen now so you can get more. And hopefully, Mr. Patterson will come on later after the interview and answer some of the questions you guys have, because it's important for you guys to see or to hear from us and hear from the president.
As a child, in fact, we're taking health care to another level. Prenatal level. The moment the lady is pregnant, we want to make sure she's getting the kind of care necessary to bring forward a quality child into this world. Okay? Now, from then on, we're going to monitor the child all the way through to make sure that they're properly nourished and so that they can learn properly in school and become a decent, productive citizen at the end of the learning process, at least the school learning process. Then we want to make sure that we move people out of the spotlight and ghetto communities, out of the garrisons, into high-quality condominiums, similar to how they live in Singapore. So we're going to move Jamaica from a low home ownership rate to a 98% home ownership rate using the Singaporean model with some changes to suit our own situation. We're going to then get rid of all of those garrisons and ghetto communities and make sure that we now have proper daycare centers, proper community centers that are modern with the kind of infrastructure you need to be able to learn and grow in your own community in an effective way. We're going to also ensure that we have community policing. So the police will no longer be this external force. The police must be trained and embedded in the community, a part of the family's development. So the police must know every child, every mother, every father, every church, every community organization, and be a part of that infrastructure to grow with the people and head off the possibility of them going into crime in the first place. So preventative methods in crime fighting, as opposed to, you know, the aggressive method the Prime Minister now has. Social intervention very early, having the police be a member of the community, police members who are trained in psychology, who are trained in social work, to engage the people on a social level and head off the problems early. We also want to make sure that we're building from the bottom up economically. So helping the small man to grow his business fast, understanding the rules, getting the train, even if he's 45 or 55, help him with the kind of support services he needs to grow his product quickly, whatever it is. Freeing up ganja, making sure that ganja is no longer a criminal plant on any scale. So whatever you want to do, if you want to grow it, package it, export it, no more intervention, no more aggression from the police or the government. You're free to do it. No plant, in fact, from God should ever be made illegal. It's from God. You use it, you produce it, as long as You're not using force or fraud to get your way back. We're talking about a very, very different Jamaica from the one you see today. One where the government now serves you. It is your servant and no longer your master.
All right. So this all sounds well and good, Mr. President, but some of these things are like things that we've heard before from PNP and JLP. The promises, and once they're in power, then the promises are not fulfilled. How are we so sure that if people vote the UIC into government, that they will honor their commitments and fulfill their promises to the people that voted for them?
Right. Let me be very honest with you. There's no way for you to be sure. All you have is a set of parameters to work with. Here are the parameters. Number one, you have three choices coming this election. Choice number one, you vote PNP or GLP. And you know that you're likely to get what you have gotten for the last 78 years. Right? The probability is extremely high that if you vote GLP or PNP, you're going to get more of what they've already shown you they're going to do, or that they've done. 78 years of it. That's option one. Option number two is to do what 63% of Jamaicans have been doing, not voting. Just resign yourself from the system and be done with it. If you do that, you're really giving us the same as option one, which is the same 78 years. The third option the Jamaican people have is to choose the UIC and give themselves at least a 50-50 chance of something different. You've never seen the UIC before in government. You've never seen what we can do. We're very new, we're very different. I've never been a part of either of the two political parties. So here it is. The only choice you have is to A, stick with the devil that you know and get more of what that devil gives you. B, pretend as if you can stick your head in the sand and it will all go away, which it won't. Or C, take a chance in a new party and give yourself a 50-50 fighting chance of something different.
Well, another question, Mr. President, how will the UIC prevent corruption? Okay, in
beautiful.
In every political party, you have the corruption thing. And if it does arise in the UIC, how will you deal with it? Will you just move your members around from one portfolio to the next, or you take them from the ministry and you put them just as an MP? Are you going to actually send them to court and lock them in jail for their crimes, or you just force them to resign and that is it? Forget about the 9-day wonder.
We have something much better than that. Is it all of what you just said? What we're doing will be far better than that. Listen carefully now. Today, in the system you have today, under the constitution you have today, the Prime Minister is the center of corruption because he has the power to appoint 13 members of the Senate. The majority of the Senate, one man has the power to appoint the majority without any questions, without any checks or balances. One man gets to do that. The same one man gets to appoint any member of the House of Representatives from his side to be a minister of government. One man without any checks or balances, right? Watch me carefully. The UIC gets rid of all of that. First of all, watch carefully. In the current system, you don't get to elect your prime minister. You elect a bunch of guys on a party slate, and if the majority of them win, whoever them did select through the back door become your prime minister. In the UIC model, you will get to elect your president directly. That's number one. You will elect a president directly nationally. We, the people, will see whoever the candidates are as president. We'll elect a president as head of state and head of government and do away with the monarchy completely. A true republic. Follow me now carefully. The Senate now, instead of having the prime minister appointing 13 members of the Senate and having the opposition leader appointing 8 members of the Senate and creating a rubber stamp club for themselves, we are going to have the 14 members of the Senate being elected directly by the parishes. So every parish will elect one senator who is an independent person of the prime minister or the president. Okay?
And does the UIC have all these these people already? How many members of the party you have? So let's say people vote for you in government. You have all your MPs and councillors and all of that already?
Hold on, one step at a time. So what I'm telling you about now is how we're going to get rid of corruption. So first of all, the people elect the president, not some backward deal. Remember, Andrew was selected by Bruce Golding. After Bruce Golding had gotten into a mix-up with Goodus and all of that foolishness, and he resigned, he then handpicked Andrew and he became our prime minister. Don't forget that. We are doing away with all of them shenanigans there. The people going to elect them president themselves. So that's one. Two, instead of having the prime minister and opposition leader appointing rubber stamp people to sit in our Senate, we the people, one per parish, will elect a senator. So now we're going to have an elected Senate instead of an appointed Senate. Follow me closely now. Right now, your ministers are politicians. So a minister of healthcare doesn't have to be a health practitioner. Can be anybody from the party that you select. A security minister can be a medical doctor who knows not about security. In our system, for you to be a minister of government, you will now have to be a subject matter expert. So only an expert in the field in question can sit in that position, and he cannot be an MP or a senator because we're outlawing that. Why are we doing that? You have to have separation of duties. If you want to tackle corruption, you have to separate them so that the MP and the senator focus on monitoring the performance of the minister. They can't have the two be in one because they can't monitor themselves. You need to separate them. And so you're going to have in the UIC system, MPs will be elected, but they can't be ministers. Senators will be elected, but they can't be ministers. And ministers must be professionals who are experts in the field, and then they're going to be held to account by the senators and the MPs. Yes or no, you have eliminated the ease of corruption and the cover-up because there'll be no incentive now for them to cover up for each other because there are no benefits to that. There's more to it enough, but I'm giving it a big high-level summary of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Xavier, do you want to come on the live? Somebody in the comments is asking, isn't that a waste of money?
Absolutely not. You either have a proper system of control which saves you money and ensure value for money for taxpayers, or you have an improper system of control which you think saves you money but costs you $700 million in corruption every year.
Someone else is asking, what about children that don't have homes?
No, well, we're going to make sure every child has a home. Like every child in Jamaica under a UIC system must have four things: proper nutrition by law, education by law, proper health care by law, and a decent home by law. If the parents come, well, we're going to help the parents to provide a decent home. Unless the parent is careless and we can't, there's no way to help them, then you have to separate the parents from the child because it's what can't work together. But outside of that, decent homes, decent children, decent education system, effective health.
Okay, here we have a guest on the live, Mr. President. He's Justice Bedward. And he has some burning questions for you, Mr. President. So I'm going to hand the floor. Justice, over to you.
Not burning question, but questions that I need answers. Based on your conversation and what you're bringing across, sounds wonderful. I think you might need to copyright what your manifesto says, because based on what you have there, it is the thing that Jamaica needed. But how will we reach there? As we always say that when it comes to politics, once a politician gets a mic, they tell you all the glory. We were told that we can leave our doors open and nothing will happen. No, we have to lock our door, lock our grill, and the next grill there. All right? You speak of policing, what's happening, policing in the community. And for that to happen, it's going to take a long time for that to happen. You're going to need time frame. as I, all right, shake your head.
Yeah, no. It will
Recently,
take a long
recently,
time to happen.
recently, uh, about a year ago, yeah, about a year ago, I was asked to revamp a police youth club in a certain area. I will not disclose the area. When I started the groundwork, uh, certain messages were sent back saying that persons don't want it to be started back in the community because the youngsters will now become informers. Uh, and I said, I was trying to push it the same way. Uh, I was able to get protection for myself in a sense that I will be protected. But for the youngsters, you not hear me?
You need to speak a little louder. It's hard to hear you.
Okay. All right.
Let's
Let's say
yeah.
the trying to start about the police youth club as was requested by a certain area, certain station. Uh, in the community, members of the community was saying that they don't want it to start about because the youth then will become informers. Uh, I didn't want to stop. I wanted to continue the because I decided that I don't give up on things. But for the safety of the youngsters, I had to decline and ease back. And the protection was there for me to do it. All right, but the protection for the youngsters is not there. Uh, these are communities where are strongholds for criminals. You call garrison community. For you know to infiltrate these communities, you have to set up a police post, and not even like a police post. This community I'm talking about, you may need a JD post, and it's gonna take a long time to get what you want. I have no problem. I have no problem with what you're saying. It's a good idea.
Let me
Once you get
explain.
there, well, once you get in there, as you said, and start that, you just need to continue, and that's the thing that Jamaica don't have. Continuously. Jamaica tends to clean the trench after it rains. And if you, as what you said, you're laughing, as if what you said a while ago, you mean it, if you continue that, you will make a change. But is Jamaica ready to make that change? There are diehardy persons who will stick to their party for just for like of a party. At any event, any political event, you might see 1,000 persons there at event, and 90% of them can't vote.
We
They
should
don't have a
break this.
national.
We should break this up into questions so we can take each of them because it's
Yeah.
becoming a speech. Let's
Go
break it
ahead,
up.
go ahead and answer the part here. Or would you infiltrate the community to dismantle
So
the guard type?
I love what I love about the UIC, I might say so myself, is that we're a very comprehensive party. We don't give you gimmick answers at election time just to win your votes and then we move on with whatever we have in mind. What we have done is put together a comprehensive solution. None of our manifesto stands on its own. So for example, we're changing the constitution. What does changing the constitution do? It immediately picks up many of the synergies that exist between criminals and politicians right now. It takes away the cover that they will have to operate. So let me give you one more piece. What should I call you? The young lady here. What name do you go by normally?
Abs, that's fine.
So Abs, watch this carefully. A key part of our constitutional change is to make campaign financing 100% public. What does that mean? You will no longer have private money as part of campaign financing. So the PSOJ will no longer be able to own the candidates through the parties like they do now. The PSOJ give over $330 million just at election time alone, so that they own, whether you're paying your GLP and you're elected, they own you. They own those two parties. When we bring in 100% public financing for campaign, and the way we're going to do it is very inexpensive. Once you want to be a candidate, number one, you're going to take an exam, a course and an exam in good governance. If you pass the course and exam in good governance, then you qualify now to go into your community and get some people to sign off that they wish to nominate you. If they wish to nominate you, they're giving up their votes at that very minute, so they take it very seriously. So let's say you need 50 people to nominate you, they get the 50, and yet they lose their votes. Remember, you have now passed the good governance exam, and you have gotten your 50 signatories which give you their votes. The next step in that now is you're going to be given equal access to radio, television, internet, town hall meetings, and debates. You will not have to find a single cent in order to carry your campaign, but be structured and formalized so that it's focused on content rather than all kinds of gamesmanship. You now can't spend money willy-nilly, you can't get money from anybody to play games with the electorate. Once a person like that is elected and they realize now that their true base is the people in their constituency, they will have no way of buying votes or playing with the constituents. But now guess what? That changes the whole relationship. Now you have how do you provide? They provide on the hidden political agenda, which gives those leaders all kind of political benefits. If you go downtown right now, to place from Eastern Street or Blakewood or Blue Plain and Princeton, those areas, right now, those people are killing each other because the two parties are there behind the scenes, paying them, giving them money in order for them to continue to see for who can win territory in Jamaica. The rest of Jamaica don't know this, but it's going on right at this minute. The UIC system destroys all of that infrastructure. And once you destroy that, what you have done is created an open society with more willing and ready to embrace the model because it can't be otherwise. There's no more of the political money that is being paid, and there's no incentive to pay those people.
Xavier, mute your mic.
Yeah. There's no more incentive now to pay those monies because you won't have any control over the government. Because we've now made the Senate separate, we've made the House separate, and we have made the executive branch separate. And they're now going to hold each other accountable, not because they want to, but because they must. The system now is going to engineer the incentive. Everybody, let's say you're an MP, you're going to hammer the executive because you have no special relation with the executive now. You want to get the best for your constituency. If you're a senator, you're going to hammer the executive now. You want the best for your parish because there's no other gain or benefit for you from hiding and protecting the administration. They're now separate and apart, and you're going to get good governance out of that.
Mr. President, this sounds like a lot, and it sounds like it will take a very, very long time. There's someone on the live, Xavier, and he has maybe a question for you. Xavier, you can unmute your mic and ask the question.
Yes, hello, good night. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I probably have more than one question, but because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to all that you have said, but within the time frame that you have said, do you think all of this is possible within that time frame? Because I really don't think so.
Xavier, once you ask your question, Xavier, just mute your mic until the president finish answer because there's feedback.
Thank
so
you.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
I think there's a misunderstanding here. When we say it's going to take a long time, okay, it doesn't take a long time for you to get a new constitution passed if you use a referendum methodology that we're going to use. And if you've done your homework properly and use the appropriate resources of government, move forward. That's number one. Number two, what is the time frame? The time frame for everything is going to take approximately 15 years. So your first 5 years, you're dealing with year one, the Constitution. The next 4 years of my first administration will be changing all of the regulatory frameworks so that by the next election, you now have a new governance model. So the first 5 years is based on referendum and transformation. The next 5 years is based on implementation of all of the key pieces that you need. The following 5 years is enjoying all the benefits. But along the way, it's like you enter in a marriage. In the first part of the marriage, you have your honeymoon period. The next part is getting business, how we're going to take care of the people, them, how we're going to manage the mortgage, and so on and so forth. And in the following part of that is enjoying the fruits of your hard-earned labor. So we're going to see a wave of transition happening. But the most important one is when we separate ourselves from the colonial model of government. And the people of Jamaica now see, wow, we're now free of that. And the new model protects them because the system we're designing creates the checks and balances, creates a separation of power that ensures we don't lose over $700 million a year to corruption. That alone is going to immediately start to reap benefits for the Jamaican people. That alone, by us making that change.
Yeah, I have hold on, Xavier, before you ask your next question. Well, Mr. President, see, you have some people in the comments saying you have their votes, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
So I have a question. Climate change is a thing. It's happening. It's real. We're seeing the effects on the environment. We're having more frequent hurricanes. They're stronger, more droughts, all of that. Now, the government had started the 3 million trees in 3 years campaign to plant 3 million trees in 3 years. But while that is being done, we see a lot of trees still being cut down for development, especially in Kingston. And so this is a two-pronged question, I think. So for the environment, what will you do to build a resilient and sustainable Jamaica? Because we just get the tail part of Tropical Storm Ian the other day, and you see the landslides, the floods, the road mash up, all of that. How will we protect ourselves and our children and our grandchildren from the effects of climate change?
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better solution. The UIC has the right solution for Jamaica. First of all, you cannot build a Jamaica to be climate resilient if you have bauxite mining as a key industry. Okay, that means you don't understand the environment. Bauxite destroys our ecosystem, it destroys our water table, and it drives up our healthcare costs by damaging the lungs and other aspects of our biological system. So we have to get rid of bauxite mining and focus instead on organic farming. That is where we have an economic advantage in the world. If Jamaica had spent the last 20 years developing a massive organic farming institution or industry, we would have been the major producer and exporter of organic foods in the world. Just the same way a small European country in a cold climate in the Netherlands is the second largest producer of food in the world. Jamaica, with one of the best climate in the world, could have been the #1 exporter of organic food. The UIC is going to take us there. We're going to move Jamaica from being bauxite dependent and other destructive ways of living to organics. Number 2, do not build homes on farmland, which they're now doing. They're taking tons of farmland. You see all these little box houses along Mandela Highway where they've cleared lands and put housing there. Build housing on bad lands, okay? And do mostly high-rise buildings, condominiums, beautiful condominiums. Build up and save wide. Use the wide expanse of our country to build massive organic farms. They're making over 79 billion euros a year from food export. We can do the same. This is going to increase our job markets if we do this by more than 1 million jobs to fill up all those jobs if we create the organic food capital of the world. Secondly, the reason why you're having flooding devastating Jamaica is just the tail end of what we just saw the other day, is because we have not invested in our infrastructure for the last 60 years. We have we have built up homes and not expanded the drains. We've built up homes and not cleaned the drains. We've built up homes while the drains are growing trees and all kinds of shrubs inside of them. We've built up homes without building a solid infrastructure to support it. The government is the cause of all the pains the Jamaican people are feeling because of these floods. They have not designed our roads properly. They have not designed our drains properly. They have They've not used proper civil engineering to design it. Instead, all they have done is to have ribbon cuttings and all kinds of other opportunities while they're wasting the Jamaican people's money and time and leading us down a false trajectory, which is going to be more devastation when we're actually hit by a real hurricane or a real storm.
All right, I have another question. What about development in other parishes? Because it seems to be like Kingston is the hub for everything, and like the whole of Jamaica can't fit at Kingston. We already are squeezed up because once people leave school or them get old enough, them leave them parish and them come to Kingston. So you're having more apartments being built, more other infrastructure, other buildings, other workplaces, and all of that. The whole of Jamaica can't live in Kingston. It's congested, it's hot, it's musty. We need development in other parishes. How's the UIC going to do that? The whole of Jamaica can't live a town. So what happened to St. Thomas and Manchester, St. Elizabeth? What are we going to do about that?
It's actually quite simple. Just move the economy across our 14 parishes. Stop concentrating the economy and having rural and urban areas. Listen, just diversify the economy. The UIC method of moving us to organics is going to mean massive industries and jobs across all 14 parishes, particularly outside of Kingston and St. Andrew. You're talking about Clarendon, you're talking about St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, you're talking about Hanover, you're talking about St. James, Trelawney, massive. Secondarily now, here's the other part of it, because this is going to be a major income driver for us, which is the housing, the organic industry. The second industry that we're going to fully exploit is the tourist industry. We have been led down the wrong path of tourism, a path of all-inclusive resorts where you take the tourists away from the people and lock them away in some areas, and we create areas called tourist destinations. So the UIC is going to make all of Jamaica a tourist destination. What does that mean? It means thousands and thousands of jobs where we make Jamaica look nice and pretty like a tourist resort in every single community. Okay? Listen carefully. Every single community, every inch of Jamaica will be treated like a tourist destination. We're not doing this for the tourists, though. We're doing it because we respect ourselves, because we respect our people, because we deserve the best. So we're going to have proper sidewalks, proper street lights, every Jamaican having fixed addresses, proper community centers and parks for children to play in every parish. Clean parks, clean streets, well-designed roads, well-designed landscapes. And then we're going to have what we call community tourism, real community, where we train our people, encourage our people, and build an economic model around our people for them to be the hosts of the tourists right across Jamaica. Let the money come right into the community and let it buy Jamaican food instead of what it's buying now, which is foreign foods in our all-inclusive industry. You understand me? Let's make all of Jamaica the all-inclusive product. And let's make it for Jamaican people, for tourists to come and enjoy as well, from our hands and our plates and our people.
All right, Mr. President, I hear you. The people hear you. I hope you're reading the comments. Xavier, you can finish asking your question now or ask a question based on what he just said.
All right, that sounds like heaven, though.
It does?
It sounds like heaven, though. But my question to you is, my next question to you is, do you realize though?
Hold on, Xavier. Xavier, say 1 second. Mute your mic 1 second, Xavier.
Did you know that in 1965, one little country called Singapore, they did all of what I'm talking about, and in 25 years made their country from a backwater poor little country into a first-class nation. In 25 years, we're going to do it in 15.
All right, Xavier, go ahead.
We're going to do it in how many years?
15.
Okay, 50 years.
15, 1 5.
Oh, 15.
Yeah.
So do you realize that your biggest problem is the Jamaican people?
No, our biggest problem is the PSOJ.
Our biggest problem is the PSOJ?
Yes.
So how do you plan to get rid of our biggest problem?
Well, I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm going to work with you to get around them.
Get around them. How is that possible though?
Yeah, how?
Because remember, hold on. Because remember, if you mess with the PSOJ, there's a cost to it that the Jamaicans will not pay for. How do you plan to go around that?
There's a cost no matter what. The cost we're paying right now is high crime, low wages, lack of opportunities, and brain drain. So if we're going to do 80, we're 80s right now. So the cost I'm prepared to pay is the one I'm already paying and more. So I have gone to jail already, and I will go even further. Now, what I'm saying is for you and me and all Jamaicans who are tired of what we have now. We're tired of this. 78 years of it. If we're tired of it, we the people rise up and do something different. I have risen up. I have left Canada and come back to this country, and I'm prepared to fight for this country, and you must do the same.
Okay. But I'm in the financial sector as well. I'm in the financial sector.
Are you guys not hearing anything?
When the UIC is elected, the days of using the Bank of Jamaica to defraud Jamaican people will be over. The days of putting the reserve on the back of the Jamaican
You guys not hearing?
of exchange rate for exchange to do their business at our expense, that is over. The day they're gonna have regulations passed that cripple small business and protect big business, them days are over. They're going to have to fight on a level playing field where this government is here for the people of Jamaica, the small men of Jamaica, the micro enterprise of Jamaica. And if they don't like it, there are other companies and countries out there who will quickly come in and take them place because Jamaica is a rich country that is fully run.
Okay, all right, man. Last and final question. Are you prepared for the backlash from the world market?
What?
Are you prepared for the backlash from the world market?
Okay, the backlash you're going to get from the world market is based on how diplomatic. And share. You're muted, not your.
No, I'm just saying that I really don't think that you understand what it is that I'm talking about.
Maybe not. And maybe you
because if you realize countries who, because remember now, Jamaica is not an island all by itself. It is linked to other countries. and we depend so much on other countries for what it is that we have now. Am I wrong? Am I right?
Look at the window. In 1965, they had what do you call it, GDP per capita of $450 US. We had the same thing, right? They had far more problems than we, far less resources than us, and they were able to do practically all of what I'm saying. Singapore has one of the best tourism products in the world. Singapore has one of the lowest crime rates in the world. Singapore is one of the highest GDP in the world. If them can do it, why do we can't do it? Why we don't have any confidence in ourselves? Marcus Garvey says confidence in self is the first thing. If you don't have that, you lose the rest. Why is it you don't have any confidence in possibility?
I have confidence in myself, but for the rest of Jamaica, have you met the Jamaican people?
They're different.
I really don't think that you have really met the grassroots Jamaican people. Those people are hard to gun.
Hold on.
And the moment that you come in, hold on. The first thing that you will have to tackle is the mindset of Jamaicans. The difference between Singapore and Jamaica is the mindset of the people. People were willing. Hold on.
That is
hold on.
No, but look at the history of Singapore. They were one of the most stubborn, brutish, wicked, everything bad. Religious war, race war, language war. They were fighting each other like crazy. They were worse than us. We in 1965, we in 1962 was better than Singapore. Like what? As a people. You can check it. I've done the work, I've done the research. I'm not talking off the top of my head. I have studied. I have been to, listen, I've worked with 120 different countries. I've been to China. I've been to Myanmar. I've been to Germany, France, England, you name it. And I can tell you this. The biggest problem with Jamaica right now, the biggest problem is not the people. It's the leadership and the governance. That's the biggest problem. What you're seeing is the symptom of the problem. When you see Jamaican people behave in a certain way, governance bring out a certain behavior. We have a system that brings out the worst in our people. Yes. So the people you're seeing today, their behavior is driven. Okay, why would we go far and we do so well? Why are students manifesto we do so well? Why? When I left here, I am a Jamaican.
Did you hear the news of the Jamaicans in Turks and Caicos? They're not in Jamaica, they're in Turks and Caicos. Have you heard that news? Have you heard the news about the Jamaicans in South Africa? They're not in Jamaica, they're in South Africa. Yet still they're over there with the same mentality.
Every country of black people. You know, look, the people of America kill off people. You know, the people in Russia kill off people. Everywhere you go, people are killing off people. There's only one bad people in the world. Let us focus on bringing out the best in our people. Stop talking down Jamaica. Let us build up Jamaica. We know why we have so much criminals here. The two parties then create them. And then give the young people them guns. And then go down there and create garrisons. And then go down there and organize them and show them how to become criminals. Let us show them how to not be criminals anymore. Let us help them.
Hold on 1 second, Mr. President. Yannick Mendes, are you a political scientist? Answer that for me. And if yes, I'm going to send you a request to join the live and you share what you disagree with. So Yannick Mendes, could you answer that for me, please? In the meantime, continue, Mr. President.
Sure, no problem. So here's the difference between me and you, my friend. I believe in the Jamaican people. I know that the Jamaican people can be transformed. What we need is the leadership. What we need is the system. And what we need is to allow that to work, to bring out the best in us. Do we have criminals? Yes. Do we have bad mind? Yes. Do we have people who are lazy? Yes. Do we have people who don't want to work for themselves or the body? Yes. So does everybody else in the world. Every country in the world has problems. We just need to find our mojo. We need to find our system and our leadership. And I, Joseph L. Patterson, am here to provide that leadership. And I know that the UIC has the system to get it done.
Yes, but the thing is, I'm not saying that we cannot achieve it, because anything Jamaicans set their mind to, they can achieve it. What I'm saying is that the time frame that you are looking at, it may be, because remember, if you become president, the next election, what is it that is going to ensure that you win again? Remember, you have 5 years. Must back parliament again.
You never heard the first part. In my first year, we have a new constitution.
Yeah, we have a new constitution, but didn't you say that we still have a 5-year tenure?
No, listen, watch me carefully.
Or is it that you're trying to create another Cuba?
Listen carefully. In the first year, we have a new constitution after 1 year. The 4 years remaining is used to complete all the regulatory changes. The following election, we're having a new election under a new system of governance. Okay, a part of that new system is a 100% publicly funded system, which means all of the mechanics and all of the pulls and pushes suddenly changing. So we're going to change the system fundamentally, structurally. You will have a new Jamaica after 5 years, completely new Jamaica. After that, we just get better and better. You're now going to have all of the other transformations take place. If we believe that we're going to continue after my first year in office the same way, that's a mistake. My first year in office is a transformation of our constitution, our system, a new mindset will be upon the people.
Okay, Yannick, Mr. President, Yannick is now in the box. She is a political scientist and she had disagreed with something that you said. So she's here to expound more on that. Hi, Yannick.
Hi, Habs.
Hi.
So I kind of joined late, so I didn't get the entirety of the discussion. But from what I get, I can tell you that changing the constitution in a year, that is impossible. Totally impossible. You can't possibly change a constitution in a year. Within the constitution, there are deeply enshrined policies and laws, and it is not easily changed. Moreover, to change the population of Jamaica is almost 3 million. How are you going to change the mindset of 3 million people within a year? That is literally impossible. I currently am finalizing. I'll allow you to go soon, Mr. President. I'm currently finalizing my master's in comparative politics and political theory, and from my research as well, I get to work with a plethora of researchers from all over the world. And what we kind of disregard, in a sense, when it comes to Jamaica, is the historical factors behind the entire political makeup of Jamaica. We can't possibly compare Jamaica to a Singapore. The history of Jamaica versus the history of Singapore is room alone for that nuanced comparison. So,
let's take one question at a time. So the first question is, or the first comment is that it is impossible. How do you know it's impossible? How can you say it is impossible to change the constitution in 1 year? How do you know? The current constitution that we have says if you want to change the constitution, you need to get a 2/3 majority vote in the House of Representatives and a 2/3 majority vote in the Senate, and then you have to have a referendum. That's what the constitution, the current constitution says. That constitution was written.
Right.
That constitution.
You're right.
Hold on.
You
have I want to take one piece at a time. So what you have is a constitution written to ensure that it's very difficult to change that constitution. That was the intent. The colonial masters wrote that constitution and give it to us and give it to two political parties that are colonial parties, designed to protect that system. The UIC is going to demolish and destroy that system as follows. Number one, wait, let me finish. Number one, listen carefully. We are not going to try to change the Constitution. We are going to replace it. The UIC is elected as the government of Jamaica. We are going to have a referendum with a new constitution placed before the Jamaican people that says we, the Jamaicans, want this as our constitution, and no prior constitution can stand above a we, the people, vote in a referendum. And we're going to vote. We're not going to play games with the Jamaican. That system is rigged. We know it's rigged for them to keep us in this and play games. We can't change it because of so and so. They have kept us in bondage for 78 years to keep us subservient to the colonial masters, and we are going to change. You might not want to change it, but we, me, and the Jamaican people are going to want to change it the moment they get to hear from the US. Right now, they're blocking us. The PSOJ, which owns the party and owns the media, they're blocking us from the Jamaican. But as we break through that block, the people are going to hear the message, they're going to understand the message, and they're going to vote for the message. And we, the people, are going to replace, not change. We, the people, are going to replace, not reform. We, the people, are going to replace this constitution. Get rid of it and tell the Governor General, the King or Queen, and their two colonial parties, and their colonial Prime Minister, and their colonial opposition leader, go to England if that's what they want to have. But we, the people in Jamaica, will have our own constitution. We will have our own country, and we will damn well run it the way we want to run.
May I refute the argument? Change can happen. And I am not refuting the point that change can happen. Change can happen. And I envision Jamaica changing within a few years. However, I'm not sure of your name, so I'm just going to call him Mr. President. What I am saying,
Thank you.
Mr. Patterson, okay. So the time frame within which you want to achieve that change, that is what I am saying is impossible. No, you are saying that you're not going to change the constitution. You're going to remove the constitution. And I mean, that is your perspective. So I don't know what's going on in the comments, and I don't know how to take it off on the comments. But this person who is Kira or something is kind of distracting. But what I am saying, Mr. Patterson, just a minute. What I am saying is that I am saying to you that changing the constitution, removing the constitution in its entirety within a year is going to be impossible. You can't assume office and then you're going to get up and say, oh, I'm going to change the constitution. Half the people don't even know what the current constitution entails.
That's true. That's my point. Half the
people right. So you get up, even look at this, even the whole, there are so many issues in Jamaica right now. And if you think that changing the constitution is going to solve that issue and increase voter apathy, then you are completely blinded by that ideology. Yannick.
Mute your mic, Yannick.
Yannick, we are going to replace the constitution with or without your permission, even if you don't think it's possible. How we're going to do it? Listen, right now we're campaigning on a new constitution. As the people hear from us, they're hearing that the US wants to change it. New governance model, new constitution, new economic model. We're going to now really shake up Jamaica. Now, when we're elected on day one when we're elected, the first 100 days, you're going to have a constitutional committee formed. The brightest minds in Jamaica will come around the table. They will have a draft in front of them that we've already drafted. They're going to debate and discuss. They're going to be given 3 months for their debate and discussion. The next 3 months, we're going to be having town hall meetings, going around the country and having the people give their feedback. We're going to have two sections of the Constitution. The first section is a Jamaican language version, a version where we don't use legalese. We're going to make sure we use straightforward, clear language so that people know exactly what they're getting. The next part of it is the legal jargon that you are used to and the way that they've twisted our minds with their colonial trickeries. We're going to make sure that at the end of it, even a child will understand the premise and basis of the UIC concept. Not like the one they gave us in 1952, where we clapped and cheered for independence and I had no idea what we were cheering for, that we were cheering for a fake independence, like we did in 1940, where we cheered for a fake so-called one-man, one-vote system. The UIC is the education party. We're the people's party. So we're going to make sure that the Jamaican people understand the reforms, the changes, the new direction that the country is going to take. And when they hear this, when they understand that now they're going to become property owners, every single Jamaican will be a property owner. We're going to reverse the slavery system, the colonials where people labor and people land. We're going to give back the people their land. Not willy-nilly. We have a structure that we should do this, but I'm telling you, we're going to do this. So, for example, right now, out there Bulldoze people in Bernard Lodge and mash up them houses that they've worked hard to build on so-called squat land. We are going to make Jamaican people landowners. And watch this. It's not the first time it's going to be done. The same thing where we can't follow and we can't compare. Why we can't compare? Why we shouldn't compare ourselves? Every smart company compares itself to other companies. We look at best practices. We look at standards. We look at what has worked in other places. We must compare ourselves. We should compare ourselves with Haiti. We should compare ourselves with Barbados. We should compare ourselves with Netherlands. We must compare ourselves. And we must compare with Singapore. And they were able to get 98% of their people to home ownership. Little Singapore, with 5.58 million people, they got their people to 98% home ownership. And I can tell you this, under a UIC government, we are going to have a 90% or more ownership in this country, and we're going to create it, whether you believe we can do it or not.
Backtracking to this demolition thing, you said so-called squatter land. So let's say the UIC was the government, and these people are on capture land. You gave them a heads up. You gave them notice, say, hey, this is capture land, it's illegal, you can't live here. A criminal are selling the land and selling the structures and things. So if the UIC was in government, you would actually let these people stay on the capture land that were acquired through, basically, they were scammed.
The UIC have a different mentality and approach. Here's what we do. First and foremost, every Jamaican family, every Jamaican individual are the beneficiary or the victims of a system that first of all stole our land. We are the victims of a system that stole our labor, our forefathers' labor, and our forefathers' land, and even though this is our labor. Okay? So we know, instead of calling these people squatters, what we're going to do is implement a UIC model that makes everybody a property. We don't have to squat no more. So we're not going to come and knock on your house and squat property. We are going to give the Jamaican people a new housing development similar to what was done in Singapore and move those people into quality condominiums off, not on farm property, but we're going to protect the farm property. And we're going to make sure that all Jamaican families, every child is living in a decent home based on what they need. Now, how are we going to fund this? We're going to fund this by stop allowing the Bank of Jamaica to steal our money through paying interest to private banks. I'll have to explain that to you another day. I'll have to explain it more. Secondly, we're going to make Jamaica the organic food capital of the world. We're going to create some 500,000 to 1 million jobs right here in Jamaica using organic farming right here in Jamaica. This is going to make every Jamaican a shareholder in an organic farming enterprise. Every single Jamaican by birth. That will be your inheritance because this land is yours. They lied to you. They have made you have to work damn hard to try to buy a piece of land. And then they make you work even harder to try to build a piece of house. And then they trick you with NHE, and they do it by force for NHE program where 75% of us will never get an NHE house because we'll never qualify. I qualify easily because I have earned a lot of money. But many people in this country, based on how they have designed the economy, will never ever qualify for them teach them money as long as they will work and get a paycheck. We, the UIC, going to change all of that and say, you deserve, you have a right to land in this country. And if you can't get a piece of land, at least get a piece of house. And it must be a decent house with proper kitchen, proper bathroom, proper living room, and proper bedrooms. Not like what I lived in as a child. I slept in a one-room house, about 12 by 12 feet, 4 with a one bed, head to toe, with chimney under the bed. That must never happen. Ever. And living it, step off of the bed and there's almost nowhere to go. You understand me? So we are going to create a new Jamaica. A Jamaica where every single Jamaican, by law, is a property owner. You're not going to beg nobody the land anymore. You must have a land. Well, the land does not mean a piece of land, a physical piece for you. You get a house. Okay, you get a small house, decent house, 2-3 bedroom, nice in a condo. We go up, so we go sprawling across the land, and we invest in the land. Make farming our oil. Make organic farming our oil. Just like when they buy it, the money from the oil. Let's get the money from the land, after the land, and let people work and supply the money that we're going to use to build our massive housing boom in this country. And at the same time, we're going to expand the tourism product to the all island. So again, we'll create another 500,000 to 1 million jobs. And this is going to turn over, and create the kind of wealth we need here in Jamaica. It is not impossible. I know it sounds fanciful because we're used to living in the drudgery that they put us into. We're used to living with the lies that they tell us. It's time for us to stop lying, stop the drudgery, and give the Jamaican people a decent opportunity.
All right, Mr. President, there's another guest here on the live. Hi, what's your name? Give me a name.
Swag Killer, but you can just call me Dre.
All right, Dre, welcome to the live. I'm sure you might have
All right, thank you.
thoughts or questions for Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Patterson, good night.
Good night, sir.
Okay, yeah, truth be told, I never, ever, and I swear to God on this, I never voted in my life. And the reason why is because what I've been seeing over the years, again and again and again and again, it's lies, corruption. We got tricked by all these crooked politicians. I've been hearing the security minister use the term shoot to kill. And I was like, nah, I'm not with that. He used that term, shoot to kill. So I'm guessing that okay, if I'm hanging out with my friends, right? And I decided to walk on home, and then there's a police officer. Let's say an officer saw me walking in a dark alley, right? And he said, "Oh, where you coming from?" So I'm like, "Oh, I'm just coming from a party and whatnot." And he said, "Oh, hey, I don't believe you." I'm saying, I have no reason to lie, right? So all I'm saying, all right.
Yes, what's the question?
Okay, I'm kind of nervous, because I never, speak politics. Never.
That's fine. It's okay. Take your time.
Yeah. All is that I'm sick and tired of these police officers, the way how they're abusing their authority, taking away our rights, right, and our freedom to do anything. If we say something, if we said something about the prime minister or the security minister or the commissioner of police. Next thing you know, by tomorrow, guess what? We're in prison. All because we're speaking the truth. You remember what happened to that guy from back in 2020 when he spoke his mind? Remember what happened to him? Yeah. So that's the thing that I cannot tolerate. Our rights are being taken away. And I don't want to see that.
But they don't see anything yet. If you know what is coming, you can see it to death by telling what is coming.
Yeah, I understand that, Mr. President.
I tell you what is coming. Tell you what is coming. You are going to be given a digital currency, which is programmable, which allows the powers that be to decide whether or not you should be allowed to buy X or Y. Okay? I'm not making this up. This is the part of that. They want to control their body. So they want to be able to decide what they're already doing it. I mean, you might not even realize it. Right now, you don't have medical treatments, right? Your doctor must have gone through only the system that they prescribe. And if it's not through their system, then you can't use them as a doctor. You don't operate them. Your medicine must only be those that are prescribed by them. And they decide what is medicine. Anything else is not medicine. Anybody else who do anything else is illegal. Your food. They're deciding what is food. And so if you don't get their approval, you can't sell anything. You can't produce anything, you can't manufacture anything without their approval. They'll only approve it if it's within their specifications. So whatever they call food is what you'll be allowed. In fact, soon if you have a backyard garden, you won't be able to do that. You will find fruits. Okay? And you will be able to plant your own. Like me now, I have my own garden, I plant my own pumpkin, I have my own scallion and thyme and what different things. You understand? They won't allow you to do that. Then now for your money, they're now going to control your currency so that when you get and you go and earn your money, you go and work somewhere, it'll be digital. And when you're ready to spend that money, they're going to say, if we don't like you, we don't like things you're saying, we don't like your argument. Just like on Facebook, they muzzled me. We used to get bullied for likes and comments on our page, and they just calm all of that down. And when I inquired what happened, they said, we don't, in summary, they didn't say this, in summary, we don't like where you're talking. So we have suppressed your feed so nobody can see them, or very few people can see them. Okay? So this is where we're heading as a world. We have a government in Jamaica that is in lockstep with that direction. They have no regard for you as a citizen. Yes, they play the game, like the bulldoze your house, and then no man, it's very good for the working man. They will come and smile with you and laugh and hug you up. But we have a government right now, and we have two political parties for the last 78 years that they do not work for the people of Jamaica. They work for the PSOJ that funds their political parties, and for the colonial masters who give them grants and special deals and say, do this to your people, put these laws in place, and we will give you the grants and the money that you need.
Mr. President, if you look at the screen, you see a question. Are you seeing that question?
How long from now do I see the next initiatives? Yes, I see.
Yes.
So as I said before.
And after you answer that, there's another question.
Good. Everything is going to take about 15 years. But each year is progress. So the first year, constitution. By the second year, you see massive regulatory changes to all this that will allow them to rise and no longer stifle. In the same year, 2 and 3, education reform. You're going to see us move away from the exam-based model to the competency model, and to making sure that you master self, and so on, and other things. Next question.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
What do I see in order to help people suffering from mental illnesses? Well, we're going to have a healthcare system that addresses all kinds of illnesses, mental, physical, spiritual, even. So our system is going to be one where we now allow a number of different forms of medicine. You know, I know we're used to what we now call traditional medicine, but we really believe that there are other medicine that we can embrace and look at, not embrace, but choose from, options. So much of the mental health problem we have in Jamaica is actually related to how our economy works. We have depressed people so much that they don't have a future. Young people, most of the people don't have any hope. So they must be stressed out. Why am I going to school? Why am I studying? When to finish? Look at my teacher, she now look at the police officer, now nothing. So they're studying for. And they're scamming at work and so on. So the people are confused, they're messed up. So let us fix the system, we'll have less mental health. When people have hope, when people see opportunity, we'll have less mental health problem and more sane. But of course, those who are already damaged, we will have a healthcare system that is more than willing to help.
Okay. All right. So we have another guest, Alain.
Hello, Mr. Patterson.
He has some questions for you.
The plan, it is ambitious. I must say it sounds like something that is out of a dream that us desire and want for our country. It is a model that is based on the Singapore model that they took from us, but are aware that Singapore is not a true democratic society. Some of those rights and privilege of persons in Singapore were taken away from the government in order to implement what the government is deemed worthy for them or for the growth and development of the people. Also, have you taken a walk? Yeah, I'm just going to ask you two that you can answer. I'm just going to ask this and then you answer. Have you taken a walk into the grassroots community and have a talk and sit down with some of these people to understand the mindset of some of these individuals who consider themselves to be born and bred PMP or JLP? No matter what their government is doing, these people will vote regardless. You have to break that barrier.
All right, let me answer the second part first. Just to be clear, the majority of Jamaicans are not born into JLP. The majority of Jamaicans are now outside of politics. They don't care or get given up. They've lost hope. That's why the last election, 63% didn't vote. The one before that, 52% didn't vote. And the one before that, 48%. So the Jamaican people have given up on politics. It's only a small group. That's why the current government was elected with 21%. 21% of the people voted for this government right now. We're being ruled by a government of 21%. 16% voted for the other party, right? So it's really bad. It's horrible. Now, yes, there are diehard in Jamaica, and I have lived with them. My mother was one of them. Okay, I go downtown in what do you call it now? Blake Road, Hanover Street, Orange Street, all them places there I go. And I know today in my years now, so I know it. I live among poor people. 11, just on the road from here. I don't live on the hill like some people. I live right down here, so among the people. So whether it's going up the road, that's in St. Elizabeth, with the family and the poor people there. Just went to a lady's house today in Scotland. She's 80 years old. She was born 1942, just before World War I ended. And me and my wife are reasonable artists because we helped her with some pension planning and stuff like that. I went and give her some money today and so on. She lived in a little house with some tarpaulin on it, old and dirty. She have no running water inside the house. She and her husband. No sewage. The sewage is backing up. The long time pit that they have is a backup now. And they have a standby go to the front. We know them. I live with these people. I walk with and work with these people. So what I do know is that the Jamaican people are ready for change. But the PSOJ and the GLP are trying to trick the people to think we have no other option. We have no other. Every morning they wake up, every day, on social media, from the Gleaner or Observer, and on TV, JNCBM, all the feed the people. GLP said, and try to narrow the scope of the people. They don't want them to know that there's a UIC. Because the moment the UIC is unleashed on the people, it's history for those two parties. Okay? Now let's go to Singapore. This is very important. It is not true. Singapore did not take the model from Jamaica. I lied. Singapore did not take any model from Jamaica. Lee Kuan Yew, a very brilliant, scholarly young man, brilliant beyond his years. He came to Jamaica and he says, my God, what a sad state. And he went to many other countries. And just like I did, he went to those countries to look at what they were doing. And what he did was to be pragmatic. Instead of going socialism or capitalism or communism, he went pragmatism. Be pragmatic rather than dogmatic. Okay? And so he pragmatically picked things that work in different places, plus his own intuitive thinking, his own brilliant mind. For example, when he was to decide on what is the language of this country, the majority of his party said we should make the Mandarin because the majority of our votes come from the Mandarin side of our country. And Lee Kuan Yew said, no, that's not a good idea. Because you have Mandarin, you have Tamil, and you have all kind of other little diverse groups in the country. And we're going to create a language, we're going to make it war worse. Fear it, you know. So what he did, he said, we make English language the standard language, we're going to call it the common language. We're going to all speak English as a common working language. But every child must learn at least 2 languages. Their own indigenous language. So if you're from the Tamil group, you learn the Tamil language. If you're from the Chinese group, you learn the Mandarin language. In addition to English, okay, as a second language. And so because of that, he strategically positioned Singapore, where it was in the world, in that location, as a mecca for international trade and investment. That's one example I'm showing you of. It's brilliant. We in Jamaica, we created tribes. We created garrisons. We teach our people to kill each other. He taught his people how to work together. When they were building the housing development, and his people said, oh, yeah, let's stack it with our people. He said, no, let's make sure we have a quota system that all the different groups of people get a spot in these nice condos we're going to build. So no one group get a disproportionate allocation across those spheres. So again, he was logical, systematic, and wise. And because of his wisdom, we now have the brilliant Singapore. So what rights did he take away? He took away the rights to destroy Singapore, the right to litter the country, the right to steal. All of those rights, if you want to call them rights, they were taken away. The people learned to hate corruption because when his own friend, his best friend, in his party, in the ministry, was indicted on corruption, he made sure he paid the ultimate price. So all Singaporeans know that this government have nothing to do with corruption. And because he set the standard, because he set the pace, because he held the fort and showed the people that him will not tolerate corruption and his government will not tolerate corruption, we now have a country with one of the lowest corruption index in the world. We have a country with the lowest crime rate in the world. We have a country with one of the best economy in the world. If we don't want that for Jamaica, we don't need Jamaica to do it. I want that for my country. And whether it's Singapore or Germany or France or Gambia, who did it, me want to borrow it and me want to improve on it and make my country as good as or better than it. That's what I want.
All right, 1 second. But Mr. President, I remember
2 more things and then I'm out.
Hold on, Alain. Mute your mic. There's feedback. Yeah, all of these sound well and good, but yeah, the 5-year thing. Yeah, I know you say you're going to do the constitution and all of that, but remember, say Jamaica people, especially the grassroots people, like their mind hard to change, them attention span short, them not have no patience. So if you come in and don't do all of the things where you say you're going to do in your at least first 5 years, then you know so you get knocked. So how you gonna ensure we have to get the funding and everything and all of them something from everything in a 5 years?
The funding is not a problem. The funding, right now the people of Jamaica give the government 45% of GDP every year. We do that. We the people. We give the government 45% of the money we generate in this country right now. The money is not a problem. The only reason why I think money is a problem is because they keep a lot of it and don't make it flow into the air as actually flow. So we think money is a problem. There's no problem with the money. Secondly, the people are the problem. Look how Andrew muzzled with Martha. and Holloway following. Look how much of it line up and put on masks and even cost people to wear masks and get people to wear masks. Look at it. We're a very compliant nation. We look like we're terrible or whatever, but it's only because the government allows slackness. They allow slackness, and then when they feel like it, they go and ostracize a few. Just like when they go and burn out Africa, bulldoze some people, while there are other spots of the community with whole heap of GLP tonight, but they're not going to bulldoze. You understand? So they keep picking and choosing how they apply the law, rather than having like what Lee Kuan Yew do, one law for everybody, including the president. So in Singapore, nobody will escape the law. Whether you are a big prime minister of yourself or you're a little boy on the street barefoot, everybody is treated equally in Singapore. The same law applies. In Jamaica, if you are connected, if you are a part of the establishment, you can go drink for no movement day, and you can go have all kind of fun. And what you get is a little slap on the wrist, and then you come back through the back door quickly in a nice position in a prime minister's office giving big speech. When one little man go downtown and leave 500 people and so wonder why it's protected, and you lock him up in a jail. Why? Because you are selective in how you apply the law. The law is not applied. The US, let me tell you, the US is no real problem at all. The problem of Jamaica is not the people of Jamaica. The problem of Jamaica is the PSOJ who fund these two parties to trick the people of Jamaica, to deceive the people of Jamaica, and then rip off the people of Jamaica. That is the problem.
There's a question, before you come on, Alain, there's a question on the screen, Mr. President. How are we going to get rid of the IMF? Somebody's asking that.
I have no plans to get rid of the IMF. All I plan to do is to make Jamaica independent of the IMF. The IMF is there. Them can do what they want to. I have no problem with America. I have no problem with the IMF. I have no problem with nobody. I have a problem with we. Let us fix our system of governance. We don't have time to fight with nobody else. When I fight with the gay community, when I fight with the IMF, I'm going to fight for good governance in the country. Let's make Jamaica work properly for we. And if we make Jamaica work properly, then guess what? The IMF will have less reasons to visit us.
All right, Alain, your time, G.
All right. Two questions. You started about the corruption in your government, or you'd reduce that, because we're getting the same set of dirty, clean people from the society, put them in governance where they're gonna steal our money. You talk about structure, but how are you gonna root out corruption out of your own government? What are the consequences they're gonna have in place? And two, what are your thoughts on the illegal guns coming into the country, and if someone is caught? Because I think 15 years is a slap on the wrist.
So you always mix the questions.
Mute the mic, Alain.
The gun problem in Jamaica. We only have a gun problem in Jamaica because those who lead us want to have a problem. First and foremost, you're not a government, you can't protect your borders. And clearly, they cannot protect the border. UIC is going to repurpose the army, mobilize the army, structure the army to protect the borders of Jamaica, from custom to every inch of it, including the Coast Guard. So we're never going to have this problem again of massive influx of guns and ammunition. If there's no illegal guns and ammunition coming into our country, nobody can have them. And I can tell you this, the big fishes that are responsible for the importation of these guns and ammunition, we're going to get them first and foremost. And we're going to seal the border with the proper allocation of our military resources around the borders of the country. Not to do police work. We're not going to have the army. They're not skilled and designed to do police work, not trained for police work. They're trained for military operations. We're going to use the drones. We're going to use the camera devices. We're going to use the intelligence of the army, and we're going to use the physical might of the army to patrol and man our borders and stop the influx of guns and ammunition. That's one. On the issue now of, I think you mentioned something at the beginning. What was it again? The first part of the question.
Corruption. You spoke about structure, but not consequences.
So the consequences for corruption will be the same for all Jamaica, whether you're a politician or not. If you are found engaged any form of illegal activities, you're going to pay the ultimate price. But I want you to understand this. People behave according to the system they're in. If you're working for a company, if the company is slack in its internal controls, you're going to behave slack. You're going to feel more at liberty to teeth and to do things they shouldn't do, like come in late for work, leave early, take long lunch, if the system allows you to do that. If on the other hand, the system has effective internal control, where you know that you're under heavy manners, you're going to behave accordingly. The Jamaica we're going to create the Jamaica where you're on that heavy manner. All right? Heavy manners in this Jamaica. And so if you want to live a life where you enjoy your freedom and enjoy the fruits of your labor, then you're going to have that Jamaica. If you want one where you can get away with slackness, you won't enjoy the new Jamaica that you like. Because
somebody has an important question, Mr. President. Yeah. What about bilateral and multilateral agreements? Do you think some of these actions you want to implement will affect the relationship
the
country has with other countries?
Any multinational or multilateral agreements that exist that is against us having a say in all of Jamaica, where everybody can live, earn, and retire with dignity and liberty. What kind of agreement that? If we have an agreement, I'm going to expose any agreement which is against us enjoying a truly free and safe Jamaica. Any such agreement is going to be broadcasted to the nation, and we ask ourselves the question, why are we disagreeing? Why should we sign any agreement which will compromise the individual sovereignty of any of our citizens? Why should we sign any agreement which will mean our government must sell us out to somebody else? No, sir. I saw a question at the bottom earlier about we still have to pay the IMF. No, of course we have to pay everybody. We have to pay them. But guess what? Most of our debt is actually local debt. Most of it we owe it to the banks in Jamaica here because our government trick us into owing their donors millions and millions of dollars through a fake and a fraud system of borrowing. Listen, my good friend, listen to this. The government of Jamaica does not need to normally borrow at interest. They don't need to do that. They do not need to borrow from private banks at interest. The government of Jamaica has the authority, which they have given up, by the way, January of last year. They gave up this authority fully to the fake Bank of Jamaica that they gave away to private banks. We no longer own the Bank of Jamaica. It is now a private enterprise, separate and apart from the government. No longer owned by us, but it's still called the Bank of Jamaica. Now, the UIC is going to take that back, and we're going to allow the Jamaican government to be able to borrow from itself. I know that it can be because most Jamaicans don't know anything about economics, but I'm telling you this: we do not have to borrow at interest from private banks. It's a lie, it's a trick, it's fraud. They have used it for the last 20 years to rip off the Jamaican people. Instead of borrowing from ourselves, by printing the money we need, as long as it's done within the parameters of our productive capacity, so that we never have what we have now, which is the high inflation rates, we can actually fund ourselves internally without paying $1 of interest to the private bank. Of course, if you have a major natural disaster where you now need to borrow externally, then of course you will have to pay interest. But normally, the normal course of business, we did not have to, and we don't have to, and we're paying money that we should have to pay private banks.
Okay, Dre is back. I think he got disconnected earlier. Yeah, Dre, what you were saying? Hold on, Dre. Hold on. Before you start, just to clarify something, the statement that the Minister of National Security made about shoot to kill, he was referring to when the police or the security forces are engaged in gun battle with criminals. If criminals attack the police with guns, the police have to shoot them to kill them. And I agree with him. He said nothing wrong right there. Just saying. But I can continue.
Hold
on, Dre. Mr. President,
I don't agree with your statement. The minister was, what's the word here? The minister was very irresponsible with those comments. Very irresponsible. It's not about fighting crime or stopping criminals. The minister is not in a place to tell police officers what they're supposed to do. We have laws in place. Yes, oh yes, oh yes. That's why we have a problem. We have politics and policing intertwined, and they should never be intertwined. The police has the training and the mandate that they're supposed to follow. The police must lock up anybody that is breaking the law. Anybody. You must go and arrest them or deal with them accordingly. Now, the minister has no place telling police how they're to carry out their jobs. That is codified in their training and in the law already. The police knows how to conduct themselves in every situation. You do not need a minister to tell police that they're supposed to shoot to kill. That is not their mandate. Their mandate is not to shoot to kill. Their mandate is to serve and protect the people of Jamaica. That's their mandate.
But serving and protecting includes shooting and killing those criminals who engage them in shootouts. Hold on, Mr. President. Just yesterday, the police stopped a man from getting murdered in Spanish Town when he drove onto a school compound. If the police them never come, the criminal them would have murdered the man on the school compound in front of Pitney, and the police they pull up on them in the middle at the gun battle. If you tell me say the police them say, "Oh, come let me arrest you," you should not be doing that. That is wrong. Or take out the Bible and put shoot them and kill them.
The police is to carry out their activities the way they're trained to. So if in that instant they're faced with a decision to make, they're to make it based on their training. It's not for the minister to come out and tell them to shoot to kill. That's not what a minister is supposed to do. That's not his job. His job is to tell the police, make sure you follow the law. Make sure you follow your training. His job is not to tell people to shoot to kill or anything like that. He's out of place.
Well, Mr. President, we have to bring on police to tell them what going in the streets. I think you understand.
Let me tell you what you don't understand. You don't understand. Here's what you don't understand. You don't understand that if you make your police force lawless, lawful people are going to suffer too.
It's not a matter of making them lawless.
But that's what he's doing. He's telling them.
No, hold on. I have a question. So if gunmen fire rapidly after the police, what the police them to do? Sit back and wait till they don't shoot them, carry handcuffs?
The policeman is to follow his training, and he is to defend himself, and he is to defend the Jamaican people. But it's not the place for the minister to tell the police to shoot to kill. That's not the job of the minister. You see, here's where you're having a problem. What the minister was doing, he was telegraphing to the police something different from what you are now thinking you're hearing. He's telegraphing to the police. The policeman is to follow the law. He's to make sure that he follows due process. Now, you might find that because of the minister's comment, you hear about some people who fired on the police that they're dead. But guess what? You were there, and you don't know what has happened, but you're now being told. It is not today that police officers are carrying out extrajudicial killing. It is not today that police officers are planting weapons on people and then killing them and saying that they have weapons. We have to be careful. As a minister of government, he must be responsible and he must not engage in such careless, flippant use of words. He is supposed to encourage the police to follow the law and execute the law to the fullest extent, protecting life and property. Okay? He's not there to engage in gangster talk. He's not there to engage in these careless, frivolous commentaries. He's there to ensure that the police service is training and recruiting and properly equipping the police officers to serve and protect, and I dare say, respect the Jamaican people. It doesn't mean by saying that I am condoning criminals. It doesn't mean by saying that I'm saying police officers should not properly defend themselves. What I'm saying is that's not the job of the minister. He's rude, he's out of order, and he's careless. And he should not do that.
All right, Mr. President, hold on. Justice has something to say, and I think Justice is somebody who works closely with members of the security forces, so he can. Justice, you have the floor.
Mr. President, you hear me clear?
Speak up louder, please. Thank you.
All right, okay. All right. The minister stated that if they are fired on, police are fired on he must fire back and not miss. That's basically what he's saying. You're taking it out of context, and majority of Jamaica taking it out of context to make it look bad. Remember, these policemen are also family members, and they need to protect themselves and they protect the other person. The situation that happened yesterday, where the person went onto the school compound, and because he was trained, this person that went to the school compound is a member of a, what I call it now, gang member in a sense. All right. So he's not a evangelist in a sense, but he's doing good though. All right. And he made a call to the police response team, the response team that came to his rescue to protect him. All right. So it's not them saying that they were going to shoot everybody they see. But you must also remember that once the police is on the road, they are at risk with their life. You ever heard of a firearm named AK-47, a Lischner? That firearm can fire underwater. You can't tell me that if a gunman hold that and find out that you're going to ask him who was shot in it before you fire at him, or if it is loaded. Tell me that.
Why are you misunderstanding the fact here? We're talking about the minister's conduct. We're not talking about the need for police officers to properly protect themselves and defend life and property. That's what you want. When a minister of national security stands up before the Jamaican people, his job, his role, his responsibility is not to instruct the police. His responsibility is not to instruct the police. He's overstepping his boundary. That's why we have a commissioner of police. That's why we have a body that hires a commissioner of police. That's why we have laws and regulations in the training manual of police. The minister's job is not to come out and behave like a gangster or a thug or to encourage the police to go outside of their remit. The minister's job is to ensure that we have a good police service where they're trained properly, equipped properly, and that they're carrying out their jobs with alacrity. His role is not to make these public pronouncements that can be mischaracterized. The fact that we're having this discussion means that the minister has overstepped his bound. He has caused the public to be unsure now of what the role of the police is. We don't want policemen having even the slightest idea that they should have any kind of free willy shooting and killing anybody. They must know that they must follow the training that they receive, follow the laws that govern their action, and ensure that their focus is on serving and protecting, and I dare say respecting the Jamaican people. Once he goes out of that, he causes you and me and everybody else now to be up in arms. No, let the police do their work and stop instructing them. His job is not to instruct. The Prime Minister should not instruct the police. He shouldn't be saying, oh, I see a man down there who will gate, they must go after him. That's not the Prime Minister's job. We need to separate policing from politicking. Those are two separate things. The police and the Prime Minister and the Minister must be separate. One is law and policy, and the other one is implementation. You don't go and pronounce these things in public. It is wrong, it is distasteful, and it is problematic. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything about police, how dangerous their work is. Very dangerous. Policemen and women are putting their lives on the line to protect us, and we must protect them by making sure we do not mischaracterize them or in any way disparage the clean and decent work that they need to do. Back to you, madam. All
right, Justice, you're over to you.
All right. Yes, at the same time of policing, you know that if you are lucky enough to win this election, the next election, and I use the word lucky, because unless you're going to get Elon Musk to help you fund your party when it comes here, all right? You know that the present government is in the court now with the JCF. With their overtime wage, their money, you know, will be inheriting that and everything that. What will you do about that? How will you handle that?
We're going to pay them.
We're going to pay them. With what?
Yes. Because they deserve it. Right?
With what?
With money. There's no other way to do it. Right? From the treasury. But have to pay them.
I thought you said that the persons that are in power now are mostly corrupt and they're stealing money and spending that money with their friends. So I think that the treasury is empty now. But I'm asking, with what?
Okay, the government of the UIC is going to ensure that we honor the wages of the Jamaican people who have earned it, and their wages have been withheld in one form or another by their government. It's illegal. If a businessman or a company fails to pay over wages to their employee, it's illegal. Them should go to jail if they can't pay it. And we, the government of Jamaica, when we form the government, will pay the police. Now, it may mean that we have to be creative in doing so. And so far, the Prime Minister has been stealing many of my ideas. I will tell him how to be creative about this one. But we're going to pay the police.
He said the Prime Minister stealing your ideas.
Yeah, man. Lots of them. They've been stealing ideas, but they won't implement it properly enough. Because steal the talking points, they just pronounce things that do half-heartedly, so they can nullify the effect of the UIC message. But they're not going to make the changes. When we win, we are going to make the changes that they can't. The police must get them paid. It's plain and simple. They work for it, they earn it, and it's illegal to withhold it from them.
They deserve their pay. I can tell you, like, if you ever know what they do and what they go through, as much as you look at them, or they are stressed out based on their job function.
Yeah, man. We have police officers working 2 and 3 jobs. How can you build a police service? I call it service, but I force. We have the UIC is going to make a police service to serve. To protect and to serve and to respect. Okay, 3 things. Now we're going to make sure that the new police service we build, we honor police officers with proper pay, proper equipment, proper housing where they work, proper working conditions, and there must be people that you can look up to. There mustn't be a carrot 2 or 3 drop on the side to be able to buy a little house and buy a little car and send your kids to school. There's no way you can have the men and the women who are protecting us daily, our lives and our livelihood, and have them living on the margins. We have to change that. The UIC will change that.
All right, I'm going to give you a scenario. You said that we are using this for you, Singapore model. Singapore crime rate is far, far lower than Jamaica. I can tell you that for one police division, we have there is a 97 murder for one police division. It was 28 in one quarter, 30 in one quarter, and 30 in the next quarter. All right, that is what in one division alone. All right, and it's the fourth highest crime division in Jamaica. All right, next thing is that if you are the situation now where 10 persons are still at a shop, outside a shop, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the sun shining, a car drive up, men came out of the car with all of them have on reflectable vest, and they come out, shoot one person or 3 persons. Everybody saw them. A person move and hide. Man, go back in the car, drive off. The car is in a neon green or neon orange or any color you want to be, but it is bright. Alright, so everybody moves car. In the middle of the day, sun shining. Nobody, when police come, nobody giving statement. Nobody don't know who. Nobody say it. All of a sudden, everybody can Stevie Wonder. Nobody never say anything. Alright. Police acting on some information somewhere else, went on a raid into a area, got a search warrant, went somewhere, went middle of the night, light, there's no light in the area where they went. Probably a garage coming to where, or somewhere there's no light. When they go in there, hold on to somebody, take out the person of interest, and the person name is on the search warrant. So when they tell the person now, everybody come out now that night now and come out and say, Then see when the policeman do this, then see policeman do everything. They can't tell us say the constable will have the policeman in the about she that should emit never right, but yes still I make that day they never say anything. And in the night they say everything. And yes still they want crime. Everybody wants to win the lotto, but nobody wants to buy a ticket. Oh, my friend,
it's very logical. If you were them, you would do the very same thing. Because why would you want to sign your own death warrant by being an informer? You live in a country. Honestly, I never forget that. Honestly, never forget that. You don't listen to what I'm saying. Listen up. Look at what we're talking about here. These people in the communities you're talking about, they know that the very police they're going to report the matter to is going to tell somebody and cause them to get killed. We need to stop being foolish about this. We're talking about we live in a very, very corrupt Jamaica where you can't trust the police, politician. You probably can't even trust the pastor. So
Mr. President, will we be able to trust the police when UIC comes into power?
Absolutely. And remember, you see, what I tried to yes. And I tell you why we're going to be.
Them are born again, or
no, it's not.
New people.
It's not born again. What is going to happen is when you change the system, you get different results. Okay? I know it's hard to understand for some of us, but think about it. If tomorrow we change the governance model we have, which changes the way people are held accountable, which changes, for example, you now have a method. Let's say if everybody in the community you talked about, if they had a method of reporting the crime that increases the certainty of the crime being solved without causing them to be at risk, they would normally take up the opportunity. Normally, some of them, many of them. But as long as they know that the system is rigged against them, they will not logically do otherwise. You understand me? I know I see your face printing up. But hold on. It's lying. That's showing up for people. If they know that the risk is too high, if they're going to comply, they're not going to comply. If the risk is too high. The more you lower the risk, is the more compliance you get. Even in taxes. If you know why a lot of people do crime in Jamaica? Because they know they're going to get away with it. If they knew that the chances of them being caught was very high, they would do less of it. If they know it's very low, it's like you work for a company. If you realize that you can, I've worked with a number of companies, take a word into details. Those companies that have very poor internal controls have very high filter, very, very high. In fact, they're always struggling. Those companies that follow my advice and put in place the appropriate control levels, filter rate drops significantly. The more the controls are tightened, the more they become effective and efficient, is the less and less and less stealing you have in the company. Okay? It works even for government. It works in any environment. If you have slack and loose and poorly designed internal controls, you get slack and loose issues in the company. So I can't tell you all this stuff because it would take a long time. But I can tell you this.
Yeah, so we might have to have a part 2 when TikTok stops glitching, because most of the people are on TikTok. Usually we would have at least 120 people on the live at this time. Yeah. But yeah, TikTok keeps crashing. I don't know what's wrong with the app.
Well, one last thing. The same and back to the topic where they went on the school compound. They were trading the person on the school compound. The 3 persons that traded the person on the school compound. Those 3 persons, one is from St. Elizabeth, and that person is on two murder charge, and is on bail. All right. With the new bail act that is coming out, the 15 years gun sentencing. I don't hear anybody talking about rehabilitation for criminals, the penal system. What is your plan? You're the minister of defense. You're going to be the minister of defense. But tell me what you have in plan.
Yeah. Let me apologize, by the way, to ads. I think it's ads, right? Ads.
Yeah.
Let me apologize. Tonight I've been a little bit more aggressive and animated in terms of trying to get to a lot of stuff.
Really? You know, this is you being aggressive?
Yes. I know. Yeah, I'm much milder than this. So, but this is here's let's talk about, for example, what your last call just he was talking about the issue of rehabilitation for criminals. The UN simple model and policy. You must pay for your time in prison. Okay, so we're going to make sure that our prisons are highly productive prisons. They're going to be training grounds and production grounds. So you're going to be engaged in highly productive activities. You're going to learn new skills. You're going to get behavior modification classes. We're going to introduce you to the learning tools that you should have been introduced to. Understanding self, understanding human behavior, understanding money, and you're going to be engaged in highly productive activities. For example, one example of this is going to be forestry. We're going to use our prisoners to create permaculture food forests. This is going to be a major producer of food, and in fact, free food, believe it or not, because it's going to be there for anybody passing through, because it's a forest, right? It's not a closed off environment. We're going to use our prisoners to generate quality food forests. You're going to hear the Prime Minister with this one by next week. Because every time I say something, you don't know it because you have not been following me. But almost everything I've said over the last few years, he has parroted them and come up with something. When you hear talking about solar system on lakes or this, all of those are mine that he's taken. You understand? Every one of them. And Mark is doing the same thing. But we're going to convert our prisons into production. So they're going to come up here as manufacturing experts, if you will. I'm using that word in the business. But they're going to be engaged in highly productive activities. The best way to rehabilitate a person is to make them highly productive in something other than crime.
Okay. All right. Thank you for everything that you've shared, Mr. President. We'll definitely have to have a part 2 because the people have a lot more other questions. I have a lot more other questions. So I'll keep in touch with your PR person to see when we can have you on again. And I hope TikTok, the app stops crashing, because that's where majority of the people are who were engaging Carly the other night. So I'll keep in touch with your PR person to see when we can finish the conversation. It has been really interesting. So thank you again for making the time to join us, Mr. President. And we'll definitely talk again by now and next week for part 2 of the conversation.
All right.
And it was nice meeting you.
I really appreciate it. It was fun. I enjoyed talking to the audience. Hope I didn't rough anybody up too much. But I like the questions, and I know there's some comments that didn't get to touch. You know, there's some persons who are skeptical, and it's okay to be skeptical. It's a part of life, you know. But just remember, we have 3 options: vote for Bulldoze and get more of the same. Don't vote and get the same. Try the UIC and get something different. One Jamaica, stronger together. Take care.
All right, take care, Mr. President, and we'll talk again next week on TikTok if the app stops glitching.
Sure. All the best. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. So that was, wow, 2 hours and 18 minutes. A lot of stuff, a lot of questions were thrown at Mr. Patterson. And there you go. Mr. Patterson, how are you?
Hey, guys. Fine, thanks.
I was expecting you to come back. I'm great.
Well, I just wanted to come over here and big up our friends over here, because I didn't get to address, you know, our people on over here. So I just wanted to come by and say hello and hope that it was going well, you know, on the live. Did you have was it showing properly? Did it go through clearly?
Yes. Well, apart from the time when it cut off from TikTok.
Okay.
It went well. It went well. There are
Okay,
a lot of
wonderful.
questions that people here have in the chat, but it's too late. You can't get to those
Yeah,
questions
it's too
now.
late. What did we get a score? Did people rate the program? Did we get you know?
Not yet. So
Okay.
guys, please rate the program, rate the interview. If there was, if you got value out of it, give us a 10. There wasn't much value, give us a 1. So we can know how to go forward. So Barima Ababio, 10, thank you. JMH, 10, thank you. Yes, guys, so let us know. Guy Fox says, that was good. I like her, opinionated but balanced. It was a really good interview. And I like the fact that we had, so many people asking questions, coming on and asking questions. Lion Will the Jungle, I totally respect this man. No weakness, real leader. Mr. Patterson, Devereaux, 10. Keith Romans, you were dynamic. Lady Williams, 100. Sweet Lady, 10. N. Smith, South Korea's resource was, okay. Ricardo Henry, 10. Javil, 10. N. Smith, 10. Steve Moore, 10. Lion Rule the Jungle, 100% as always. Winston Hammond, 10. Love it. All right, guys. So it looks like, Patriotic Vibes. Sorry. 8.5. Marlon Thomas, 100. Howard Foster, 10. Erland Malcolm, 10. We're getting a lot of 10. 10 out of 10, Keith Roman says. All right, so I'm glad that you guys really enjoyed the interview. I enjoyed it as well. It was really great for me to see Mr. Patterson batting, with the covers. Doing so well.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. I like when people ask questions, and I like to answer them. I know much of what I'm saying is new and different to people. It's not your typical run-of-the-mill thing. So it takes a little bit of thinking, and it challenges the mind. But we have to challenge ourselves, and we have to be prepared to rise to something bigger than what we're used to. We've been in the stagnant position for too long, and it's time for Jamaica to break out now, in a good way.
In a good way, yes, definitely. Yeah. So, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Almost 2.5 hours. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have another program for you tomorrow. And thanks for coming on. And have a good night. One Jamaica, stronger together.
All right. Take care, everyone. One Jamaica. Bye-bye.